me along to your totally nude island. You took my hand, led me astray that day. I'm totally nude island.
Once you hear the mesmerizing calls of the rarest of exotic birds, you become totally consumed by passion. Totally consumed by passion. Put on a strategically placed shell, raise a little hell. Frolic in the surf, sand and turf, on totally nude island.
Darling, show me love, tell me lies. You do something to me, make it all through the night. Touch me once, kiss me twice. You do something to me on the isle of the side.
Kissed by eternal sun, kissed by eternal sun. A few miles north of the Tropic of Desire. Complete new island. Complete new island. Complete new island. Complete new island.
Let me along to your totally nude island. Let me astray to your totally nude island. Let me along to your totally nude island.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Tokyo Crypto Show here on Shokunin September. What is Shokunin September? Every day in September, we are going to be live here on my show, and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be here live providing nothing but 100% free value to you guys. And gentlemen, September 27th is now 9 days away, gentlemen. 9 days to get on the waiting list for Body Language Mastery Quarter 3, September 27th, September 28th, September 29th, September 30th, and October 1st. Gentlemen, you are not going to want to miss out on this hands-on 3-week interactive course with yours truly and many, many, many other members. First and foremost, what you get is a head-to-toe breakdown of female body language that allows you to know if a woman is interested in you or not. To top it all off, you get 3 weeks of twice daily 2-hour question and answer sessions for quarter 3 and quarter 4. Okay, that's over 160 hours of coaching.
That's a fucking lot of time.
Well, I mean, with myself, and then of course Charlie is also in there. So if you want to get your dating life sorted and also learn about body language, cryptocurrency, starting a business, getting that 6-pack you always wanted. I mean, these webinars, you can literally come in there and ask all the questions. I mean, we had guys that turned up every single day and got so much value out of this course. In addition to that, if that's not enough, you get access to a men's only Facebook group that allows you to connect with all of the members of our community, where we talk about every single thing from making money, making muscles, learning game, the whole 9 yards. It is all included in this tremendous package for only $497. Quarter 4, it's going to be released on December 27th. However, the price is going to be $597. You're going to want to get in now for the best price, and more importantly, so you can attend all of the webinars, including Rollo Tomasi, Richard Cooper, Ryan Stone. Actually, if you watch the show on Monday, a former UFC welterweight John Fitch will also be attending the webinars. Troy Francis, who was on the show yesterday, will be attending the webinars. Nobody in the history of the Manosphere has created such a value-packed, interactive webinar service like this. You want to go to modernlifedating.com/body language. Click on this link right here, and then put your best email address in this location right here. Click the subscribe button, and you will be on the waiting list to get in there. I got a lot of guys asking me and saying, hey, how can I get on the list? That's the way you do it. And then in addition to that, people are asking me, can we get on, can I pay you early? No. Okay. I know you want to pay me early, but it's not about money. It's about having the discipline and the self-control to commit to this endeavor and make sure that you are getting in with the creme de la creme, the top of the top. It is seriously the ultimate red pill. Once you study this body language stuff, gentlemen, there is no unseeing it. I must warn you, this is not for the faint of heart. You will see people who are sexually interested in you that you may not want to fucking see that they are interested in you. I mean, I've had tons and tons of people who see wives, brothers, wives, and bosses who are in the, closet homosexuals and stuff like that they didn't even know. They're like, dude, this shit is the real deal. Like, I can't believe I fucking have seen all this stuff, and it's everywhere, and it's global as well. So, modernlifedating.com/body language. That being said, man, welcome back to the show, Charlie. How you doing today?
Yeah, doing great. And the one thing I wanted to say on top of that is it's kind of like the price of Bitcoin. It may, it's not going down anytime soon. It's only going up in value. So if you haven't gotten in the first 2 quarters, a lot of people will probably be like, damn it, I should have gotten in.
Yep.
But there's no better time than the present.
Yep.
Get in while you still can.
Take action, take action, take action. Let's say what's up to everybody in the chat real quick. Privateer Solutions, what's up? M. Garcia, what's up? Christopher Wilson, yo, I know you're all going to be getting into Body Language Mastery Quarter 3. John Ellis, you are new, sir. Welcome to the show. Dan S., what's up, my brother? Cody, what's up? Jeffrey Falat Pandolfo, yo, what's up? First time seeing you here, my brother. Winston Wolf, as usual, what's up? E.E. Cummingsworth, what up? And Extra Guac, what's good? Ivor, how you doing? I'm on the waiting list and really hoping to get in. Yeah, there is limited enrollment, so get on the list while you still can. Definitely something you do not want to miss out on. Guys, we're going to talk about something pretty interesting today. We're going to talk about Bitcoin versus the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve, for you guys that don't know, the Federal Reserve is an organization that is in control of the monetary situation in the United States of America. And we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of that. But before we get started, just real quick, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ModernLifeJohn. Trying to get to 2,000 by the end of October. So go over to twitter.com/ModernLifeJohn, Jon. Okay, because you spell my name JONATHAN, not JOHNATHN. I don't know who the fuck spells their name like that, but
I wouldn't do Jonathan the long form. I would do John with the JOHN, but yeah.
Nah,
If I'm the normal one, like the John Deere letter and stuff like that.
Fair play, but if I'm John, it's JON.
Oh, of course.
And don't forget, also, Charlie is on Twitter where he puts out gems every single day. We're trying to get him to 200. Actually, only need 8 more people to get him to 200. He's at 192 right now. He is at Cultivate Crypto. You want to go over there and follow him, contact him, hit him up. Also, don't forget that Charlie here from cultivatecrypto.com, he offers a service which is very, very unique. A lot of men have actually joined the service already. If you're going to go to cultivatecrypto.com/shop, what he offers is obviously he has consultations, which is a one-on-one single lesson for $75 for an hour. And then the Telegram chart private group. What this is it's an encrypted chat. It's an encrypted chat room with over 15 members in it right now that are pursuing knowledge in understanding and learning how to read the charts with cryptocurrency. Charlie teaches and posts charts every single day, multiple charts. How it works is the bronze package, you just get access to the group itself. With the silver, you get the access to the group, which is,
And one consultation.
yeah, you get access to the group, which I was just gonna say, which is an amazing deal in itself. The fact that you can get in there and literally ask you questions.
Here's the funny thing: most of these things on the market, they cost like over $1,000 to $5,000
Right.
for the same type of information.
Right.
So, I mean, I put these prices out here because I feel, with depending on however much you're willing to buy, whether it's not that much Bitcoin or whether you're able to get a whole coin. We have multiple guys who are able to be whole coiners, or some people who have more than one Bitcoin.
Right.
So we got some guys that are, doing some serious money, trying to make some serious money, and they already are. But we also got guys who are normal, have just a few $100 that they're putting in. And so for all of those guys, the guys who are able to put in a lot, but also those guys who aren't, I want them to be able to make back the amount that this costs each month.
And we even got a lovely Japanese lady in there.
Oh yeah.
we won't say her name, but we got a nice little Japanese lady in there locally who found Charlie, went out and did a face-to-face consultation with him, and she's on the package. So with silver, you get one consultation a month, plus access to the group. With gold, you get 2 consultations. And then with platinum, you get, is it 4?
Yep.
4 consultations. So once a week, plus you get access to the charts. So if you're interested in, learning cryptocurrency and just, getting into this very niche market at the moment. But I'm telling you, once crypto goes mainstream, I mean, listen, I got to say, once crypto goes mainstream, which is already starting to get there, I'm not even joking, I have seen these Twitch thoughts
Oh, everybody.
collecting donations in cryptocurrency.
Recently, I think it was Miss Norway or Miss Finland, one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
She's taken pictures with all of the top crypto guys, even though they're nerdy as fuck.
Oh, lordy.
And there's just all these chicks that are trying to get spam Twitter with, tit shots and stuff.
The crypto hoes, man. The crypto hoes are real, man. I know some people who are in, I'm not going to mention any names, but who are up there in the crypto world, and they got their crypto groupies, and they're shooting moonshots all over their face. So anyways, cryptocurrency, we are literally still in the infancy phase. I think it's so funny that right now Bitcoin is literally stable at $10,000 and people are still saying it's a scam. I'm like, what do you what the fuck do I need to do to convince you that this is legitimate?
Some people you just need to slap them, I guess. But I've seen people talk about stories about their friends and being like, somebody's like, when you're crypto rich, can you help me out? He's like, no, bro, I'll teach you how to help yourself out by becoming, having a decent amount of wealth yourself. And sometimes people that's a helpful thing to do, right, to somebody. But sometimes people are taken aback by that, you're not going to help me when you're rich, and they get offended for the fact that they don't get a handout. They don't have enough responsibility to go and take care of their own money. Yep. So some people just can't help them.
Normy's gonna norm, and we're gonna talk to you guys about a big thing with the normies and what's going on with the whole situation in regards to the Federal Reserve, what the Federal Reserve is, why it's a fucking total scam. And before we do that, we're going to hand it over to Charlie. Charlie is going to show you right now what he does on a daily basis, every single day, for the members of his cryptocurrency Telegram chat. So we're going to take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin real quick, and then we're going to go into the meat of today's episode. So at this point, do be sure that you're looking at your screen. I know a lot of you guys just listened, but we're actually going to pull a chart up on the screen here for you guys that just listen. It is in order for you to receive the maximum value educationally speaking. Please take a look at the screen right now as we present this information, and you can behold Charlie's genius. All right, Charlie, here you go, buddy.
Pull some Rain Man stuff out on you. No, but basically, for me, this is pretty simple because I've been doing it for so long. But for a lot of people, we have to continually, there's new people to the group every week that are watching this, so we have to kind of zoom out and see some of the basics. So what I'll do is I'll just focus first on where we are this year, which is, this in itself is amazing. We started at $3,100 down here in December of 2018.
One Bitcoin.
One Bitcoin is $3,100. The maximum we got to was at the end of June. Bitcoin got up to about 13,900 or 800, something like that. And then we've crashed down here. Crashed.
Yeah.
It's one of the phrases that I like to say with this is sometimes with stocks, people say it's an escalator up, elevator down. Mm-hmm. But in Bitcoin, I say it's an elevator up, meaning, it goes up quite fast, and then it's an escalator down where it goes down slowly. Mm-hmm. And then it tries to consolidate itself to a price that psychologically people are still comfortable with, and then it shoots up from there. So what we're looking at here within the next basically few days to potentially out past to 2 months maximum is, if I look at this price right now, which is 10,200, I would say if you're wondering for a discount, you might not get it.
Right.
Basically, any moment here with how long this is consolidated, Bitcoin could go up at any moment. Also, you have to be aware that it also could go down. But since we're in the early stages of a bull market meaning the price goes up with the trend more often than not.
Exponentially in some situations, especially in cryptocurrency.
Look at this, right? What's this? June 9th at 7,800, double to almost 14,000, almost a double within
about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. So you definitely want to be in the market for those moves, right? And also here as well from March, April, May, this period here, we went from 5,000 to 9,000, which was a pretty big increase at the time. So right now what we got is we've been playing with these zones. Blue zones are zones of resistance, meaning when the price goes above it, then that area becomes support. So once we broke above 4,000 here, that was a sign that we're early in the bull market. Then we broke through 6,000 actually rather easily, which many people didn't expect. And then we kind of waited a little bit here in the 8,000 region, and then we just blasted off. And we hit this top box, which is our last zone of resistance before we get into crazy ass prices, basically.
Good.
Back above the last all-time high. So we tried to break that. We failed. But we've been consolidating within and beneath this area here between 10,500 and 11,600 or 11,500, that 1,000 zone area.
And when you say consolidating, what do you mean? And this is an exact, so you guys right now see, when I talk about this, I truly kind of forgot what the terminology consolidating means. And this is exactly, when he mentions this in the crypto chat, just like how you guys are watching right now, maybe some of you guys are listening and drinking coffee, or you're in the middle of some deadlift sets at the gym, whatever, you can literally have a one-on-one conversation with Charlie and say, what the hell does this mean? If you don't understand it, he'll go into details. He'll even DM you and have a private conversation with you on Telegram. But this is one of the values that the Telegram chat does provide. That being said, now, when you say consolidating, what do you mean exactly?
So let's say, for example, you have too much of something.
Right.
Something, the price went over what people expected. Mm-hmm. So if you have too much of something, then you kind of distill it, or you kind of pare it, or you cut it down to its core value.
Right.
So psychologically speaking, the only thing the chart shows is how much people are willing to value this cryptocurrency at, right?
Right.
So at the beginning of the year, it was 3,100, but then it got up to 14,000. But because of the chart showing which areas we have buying psychology and selling psychology. We can see we have a lot of selling psychology up here. And that's why we got rejected.
Right.
And so that means, okay, at this point in time, the price is higher than what people feel it should be. And so we consolidate or we cut down the amount of people who are willing to sell. And then we get down to a price that is stable, that we find no more sellers.
Right.
So the argument now is, are there more sellers or more buyers? Well, people who are in crypto right now, they don't really want to sell because you can just see over the last couple of weeks and over the last 2 months, this price that we're at now, 10,200, is basically the median or middle price of this whole consolidation region.
Right.
And so what that means is probably people who are in crypto right now are very comfortable with 10,200. If it goes lower than that, anybody who already owns Bitcoin will want to own more.
Right.
So we will feel anything below 10,000 is actually a very good discount.
Right.
Whereas then we have to think about, okay, where is the new money going to come from to push this thing up?
And there's plenty of new money out there.
There's a shit ton of money. There's only about 0.5% of the world's population maximum that is in cryptocurrency right now.
1/2%. Wow.
Yeah, so nothing. And the price is already $10,000. That tells you where this shit can go. If it doubles to 1% of the population, right? Boom. The price goes crazy. So
If I can,
it doesn't take much.
I'm gonna quote Miss MLD. It's Rambo time.
I like it.
Time to get some Rambos.
Yeah, and so if we do break down, the worst case situation here for a bull market is if we do break down, let's say this fails and we get a bunch of sellers, or we get some manipulation in the market where people are trying to make the market sell. The worst thing would happen is it would take about 2 months, so maybe until the middle of November, and we might get some discounts down into the low 8,000, high 7,000 region, and so you just get more time to buy better prices.
I would love that, but I just don't see it happening.
Exactly.
I don't see any. I think if anything, there might be a sell-off towards the end of the year. That we might see a temporary sub $9,000 dip, but in my opinion, which is an opinion, from what I've been reading, what I've been seeing, and I think a lot of people are taking the financial red pill and realizing that.
Yep.
That's what we're going to talk about, the Federal Reserve today.
That's a huge red pill. That's like a red pill you got to put up your ass, like an enema or something.
It's a suppository.
Just because people don't want to take that.
No, it's easier to just be comfortably uncomfortable. But I think more and more people are waking up. And what a lot of people don't realize is that Bitcoin is directly connected to the internet. And internet usage is going only one direction. And that is astronomically up.
And that's to me, that's just like a brain dead, obvious thing.
It's a no-brainer.
Right?
It's a no-brainer.
But sometimes you just have to repeat it because not everybody gets that, or not everybody has the foresight, to be honest.
Yep.
But
a staggering majority of people do not have the foresight. They do not.
And here's what's going to happen, right? Like you said, let's say maybe the end of the year we get a dip. Basically, what the charts tell us is absolutely not. So the beauty of being able to read the charts here and actually understand what's going on, and I got to put this on log, or there we go, maybe something like that, actually. I don't know why this is, let's see. There we go, that's the one I want. Oops, not that one. There we go. All right, so this is what happens based on Elliott wave theory, which is you have 5 waves that go up in this current bull market. And so you can see where we have some ideas going, which is, I believe, once we break 11,500 here, basically we don't go back.
Fuck yeah.
So, that's just what Elliott wave theory tells us.
Yeah.
And this is based on mathematics, which are based off of Fibonacci sequences, which are how you are built, how your DNA is actually built is through Fibonacci mathematics.
Right.
The pyramids of Giza, a lot of human achievements, the way the galaxies are structured, just everything in nature is structured based on Fibonacci mathematics. And based on that idea, what happens with Elliott wave theory is once we break that core resistance and we get up into this area, and especially once we get to a new all-time high of 20,000, then we cannot dip below this top of the first wave. So that would mean if we got like a bad wave 4, which is the next area that the price can go down, we would maybe come back down to like 14, 15,000 maximum. Probably be very, very unlikely. So, once we break that area, the next area to aim for is between 40 to 60,000 per Bitcoin, and that's only in the middle of the bull market.
Right.
So if you want to 5 times your money within the course of 365 days, this is the best game to play.
Yeah.
So-
Do you think one person purchasing one Bitcoin right now at a $10,200 price marker, is that risky, or is that, what do you think?
Depends on their point of view of what time is. So
But do you think they would lose their money?
no. The
was
only
pretty
way
quick.
the only way they would lose their money is if they do a knee-jerk reaction, act emotionally, and sell within the next 3 months.
Do you think we'll see us like a 6,000 or 5,000 Bitcoin ever again in human history?
In human history,
Well, I mean, yeah.
it's technically possible, but
Yeah. Well, let's say within the next 10 years.
within the next 4 years, I would say no.
Oh, wow.
After that, things get a little bit different because there's a lot. Basically, after, we have this. Oops, this gets a little funky. But once we have this 5th wave, which is, to be honest, the first. This gets a little complicated, but basically, it's the top of what the market would be, and let's say that's between $100,000 and $200,000. Then we have a correction after that, and that probably comes back down to around the 30,000 region. But it's possible, and this would be like 2023, 2024, and that would possibly come back down into like the 10,000s or 30,000s, something like that. But that's something that we just have to wait and see at the time. So that's why you do have to understand at least the basics of, how to read a chart, so that when you do get to all of your profits, let's say Bitcoin gets to $100,000 and you bought here at 10,000, you bought one coin, congratulations, you made 90% profit. Or, well, a lot more profit than that. You made 900% profit.
Yep.
But basically, you bought one Bitcoin for $10,000. Now you have 100,000. You take your profit, or you take your original 10,000 out. Now you have $90,000 of pure profit over the course of a couple of years.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I'm flirting with the idea of purchasing another coin.
I would say go for it.
I'm definitely flirting with the idea. It's looking right now. I mean, for me, when I saw that jump past, like when we made that jump to 6,000, that right there, like every single, bone in my body was like, you need to scoop one coin right now. And it paid off because I'm still in the green. I mean, I got like 1.1 coins around that time, it was like right, it was like 6,700 a Bitcoin.
Perfect.
So this was like what is that around? That was like around Mayish. I bought it, and I'm sitting pretty. I've only made like $3,500, but it's in the green, and if you know and believe in the direction that Bitcoin is going, obviously we believe in it to the extent that you've made an entire business around it. And I have this show that we run together as well. That I believe in this stuff, and I'm just trying not to get too greedy because I don't want to relive all of my mistakes of 2017.
Well, you got to make mistakes in order to make money on the next side.
That's true. I do own Bitcoin Cash.
And here's the thing: two things. As long as you don't get balls deep in altcoins, and you don't sell your Bitcoin, you're gonna make money.
Yes.
That's the easy part. And then, so that's why I recommend whenever people buy Bitcoin, they keep, I go by 80-20 principle, but it really depends on your financial situation, how much risk you're willing to take.
Right.
But
right.
80-20 principle, roughly, if you keep 80% of it in cold storage so that you literally have to do a lot of steps to get it to an exchange to trade it,
right,
then you just keep that fund for your rainy day, right?
Yeah.
The only time you touch it is when we get to the top or near the top of a bull market and you really need to protect your profits. And so that's like one trade in 3 years or something like that, right? You almost have to do nothing. But then that other 20% of what you're using is your education. And that's what you can use to double up, more with other altcoins. But that'll, by only keeping that to a limited amount of your entire Bitcoin earnings or holdings. That way you don't, because people emotionally sometimes can't handle this type of roller coaster, because this is a lot more extreme in terms of the profit you can make than any other market in the world over the last 10 years. And that's amazing in and of itself.
Right.
And that should tell you enough to be like, you should probably want a chunk of that as well.
Absolutely.
But, people get emotional and they're like, they see all these other things that are distractions, which are the altcoins, and they see so many of them, sometimes going up faster than Bitcoin. But once the market does turn, they go down way faster than Bitcoin too. And it's not always at predictable times. And the function of Bitcoin, we'll get into here a little bit after we talk about the Federal Reserve, actually has proven that it has a core value that cannot be messed with. Whereas these altcoins, a lot of them are based on air.
Yeah, and you don't, to sum it all up, you definitely don't want to be, I'm going to pull up this.
I love this one.
This is so hilarious, okay? Here is the life cycle of a normie as he gets involved with cryptocurrency. I just want to show you, this is like just the perfect example. So here you go. Here's Elmo as he cryptocurrency trades. Bitcoin's at 16 grand, 17 grand, 10 grand, 9 grand. He's going to kill himself. And 7-6, he makes the jump. So,
and then he starts over again.
This is the life cycle of a Bitcoin normie. Okay, you do not want to be like Elmo here as he has an emotional Coke related breakdown as he just, he's partying and he's living the dream. Don't be like this. You have to have a stable and level head with this, or you will lose money. You will lose money.
Yeah. And how do you do that when you are in a totally brand new market, which 90% of the world doesn't understand, or 99% of the world doesn't understand? You have to work with people who have already been in the market before you.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm doing my whole business the way I'm doing, is because I want people to avoid scams out there. I want people to actually make money, and I want people to know what the actual dangers are so that they don't fuck up and end up like Elmo.
Don't kill yourself like Elmo.
Because we're at one of the biggest points in probably the last century, if not the last millennia, of an opportunity in human history to make money. That in and of itself is amazing.
This is like the .com boom, really.
Way better.
Well, yeah, way astronomically better. And man, I just think that the opportunities here. Did you want to show anything else?
The last thing for the guys who have paid attention to some of these charts before is another reason to look at something that is quite bullish is we have these moving averages. All you can see is the yellow, the blue, and the orange. I won't mention the periods, but basically when the yellow's on top and the blue's in the middle and the orange is on the bottom, this is the 50 period, the 100, and the 200. When those are all in alignment like this, we get support for price going up. Mm-hmm. When they mix up, it goes down. But we're getting back, and this is on a 3-day chart, which means higher time frame has stronger it's better for the coin. Mm-hmm. And here we got the 100, the blue line coming into the middle, which would be the first full bullish formation, even though we've already had a bull market for, already 9 months. So that's coming on September 28th, roughly. The last time that happened, this is what I call a silver cross.
It's kind of crazy how it's like, it looks like it's getting ready to launch. We're going to find out. Mark your calendars.
There's only one way to know.
Mark your calendars, boys. September 18th looks like
28th.
Well, today's September 18th.
Oh, right.
So mark your calendars. Things are looking like, according to the moving averages, that everything's lining up for a launch.
Yep. And this is what happened right here on the golden cross, right on the 3-day, is the price went from 9,000 to 12,000, and because we were still in this downtrend, it had to come back and correct. But this, we basically have fulfilled most of what we need for this downtrend. Like I said, it could extend, but having this secondary cross is kind of like the double stamp, right? Double stamp of approval. We're going up.
I love it. Let's go back to the chat, see if we got any questions going on here right now. What's up to everybody in the chat? Thank you all for popping in. Big Gooks is in the house. What's up, Gooks? Hope you're doing well, man. Let's see if we got any. I love the activity we have today, guys.
Yeah, I like Khalil. He's mentioned teach a man to fish. ... I like the saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. It happens with welfare. Why wouldn't it happen with crypto? Got my cold wallet the other day. I'm starting to pack away Bitcoin like the squirrel for winter. Good stuff, man. Let's see. Eric, welcome. You are new. He says been holding since 2014. God
Solid.
damn, you are a rich man. I hope you got a lot.
And here's the thing. Eric knows what it's like to hold through a bear market because 2014 to 2015 was not an easy time for crypto.
No.
So there's some strong hands.
Michael R says backed. Michael R, you should watch our last episode when we talked about backed. That is not a good thing. Backed is making people backed off from trading, says Chess Rockwell. Michael R says fuck the Fed. I definitely agree. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk today's going to be the financial red pill and the truth about the Federal Reserve. Guys who are watching, just please be sure to hit that like button, and if you want to help educate your friends and family on the Federal Reserve and cryptocurrency, share this video to them. Just hit that share button, text it, tweet it out, post it wherever you got to go. But let's get those likes up to at least 25. We're at 18 right now. Khalil G says, with increased internet usage and cryptocurrency usage, it could change economic statuses of entire countries. That's a very good point there.
Yeah, and I even talked about that on my show last Friday. It's kind of a boring subject, but like there's the Marshall Islands, which are trying to create their own cryptocurrency because they're only reliant on one bank at the moment, which is the First Bank of Hawaii of all banks.
Oh, wow.
And if the First Bank of Hawaii says we don't want to work with you anymore, they have no access to the world's financial system.
Jesus Christ.
So
well, I mean,
they want Bitcoin.
Let's see. Trying to get a whole coin before this month ends. Damn, ATM fees are high. Yeah, well, I mean, there's always an opportunity for you just to hit up other people and buy it from local Bitcoins. I mean, there's ways, man. Go to Bitcoin meetups. There's people who are willing to sell cryptocurrency with cash.
Bitcoin meetups are better than localbitcoins.com because you meet people who you probably have you can vet them while you're in a group of safe, group of people.
For you guys that are purchasing from the ATMs, what is the fee like? I'm very interested.
It depends on the ATM company. I think a lot of them are around like 10% to get in, which is kind of high.
Jeez, that is a little bit.
Yeah. Well, like there's a difference, and I mentioned this too. Like there's a difference between trading fees and entry fees. The entry fees to get into crypto are always high on most things. Like even like Binance and Coinbase is like around 5%. But like once you're in, the trading fees are not that bad. But it's getting in, which is kind of hard.
Mozia Namaya, what's up, man? New subscriber here. Thank you for subscribing. Did you subscribe? I don't know if did I get an alert on I didn't see if there was an alert popping up, but
who do you get on that one? The Darth Vader?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have my headphones on, so that could be possibly. Let me, guys. Was there an alert when Mozia subscribed? Please let me know in the chat. Cameron, what's up? King Nick, what's up? Thomas Gorecki, he says, is it easy to buy crypto in Canada? You can ask Nils. I know Nils in the chat is in Canada.
It's easier than the U.S.
Okay.
Because the U.S. tries to drag their heels a little bit. In Canada, you could probably get it. Even Richard Cooper could probably tell us a little bit about that because he's based there. But what you'd probably want to do is buy it through like Binance would probably be the simplest that way, but it'd be through a credit card. But Canada also does have a lot of ATMs, Bitcoin ATMs.
Okay, solid. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go into a little bit about the. We're just gonna show. We got a couple of memes we would like to share with you today.
One of them is a news story, but it's a meme in and of itself.
This is a new. These people are literally writing the memes. Okay, so here we got when you FUD and FOMO almost at the same time. Now remember, FUD is an acronym for fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and then FOMO is fear of missing out. I fucking hate Wells Fargo. They don't support the Second Amendment, so
Wells Fargo is a bunch of fucking crooks.
I hate them. They used to be Washington Mutual, right? And then they went under. Or no, I think Chase bought Washington Mutual. Anyways,
well, they suck.
They definitely suck. Wells Fargo bans customers from purchasing cryptocurrency And that leads to the next one, Wells Fargo to launch stablecoin cryptocurrency in 2020. Guys,
Hypocrisy at its best.
I mean, listen, the memes write themselves these days. The absolute hilarity that they have the audacity to shit talk a cryptocurrency and then or all cryptocurrency really only to launch their own. So common sense say that clearly the financial institutions are afraid of cryptocurrency, rightfully so. Rightfully so, because Bitcoin takes no prisoners, man.
They're afraid of losing control. They don't want control to go back to the people. This is the best part about cryptocurrency. It goes back to the core of what America is, and this is why people respect the United States, not because of our military, but because of our beliefs and our ideologies.
Right.
Which is to self-sovereignty, freedom of human, rights, and all that stuff.
Yes.
And this brings back the freedom to you as an individual for finance.
Yes.
With more freedom becomes more responsibility, but as long as you're willing to take on that responsibility, you can tell these guys to fuck off, and you can keep your money without them taking fees upon fees out of your bank account every month.
Endless fees too, man. God.
When I did Wells Fargo when I was in college, one thing they told me, I was like, why is $25 coming out of my account every month? They were like, oh, you have to set it up so that you send $25 from your savings account into your checking account and then back into your savings account to make sure that fee doesn't come up.
Fucking A. Do you want me to come juggle in the lobby too while I'm at it? You fucking,
Makes no sense. And so they just try to get these micro fees from people all the time. And you've heard this in the news, all the shit that they pull with that. It's terrible.
Absolute joke. And then we're going to talk about the US dollar today. And the next meme, I saw this meme the other day and I was just laughing. Absolutely just burst into laughter. So hardcore. I actually sent it to, it's funny, I sent it to John Fitch, who, as you guys know, MMA fighter John Fitch was on my show on Monday. And it's funny, I didn't even, he's a pretty high tier celebrity in the MMA world. Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to he came on the show. I was kind of didn't want to seem like too much of a crazy. So I didn't want to be like, hey, have you heard about this internet money, Bitcoin? And at the end of we were chatting at the end of the show offline, and we were just talking about some things I can do to help him with his digital online presence. And he was like, man, you should accept more cryptocurrency. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, whoa, dude. I was like, you into cryptocurrency? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, the Federal Reserve is a scam. And he went into this rant. I was like, I fucking like this guy.
Awesome.
So we're going to talk about the United States dollar and Federal Reserve. And this meme pretty much sums it up. So here we have, here's the US dollar. And what is holding it up? Nothing. Laughing my ass off.
Just stories and people's hopes and dreams.
God in heaven, man. And we're going to talk about that because back in the day when the United States dollar is still a powerful currency. Make no doubt about that. The United States dollar is still strong. However, if you are to know what is going on behind the scenes with the Federal Reserve, it's very, very alarming at what's happening because prior to President Nixon's presidency, the value of the United States dollar was backed by the gold we have in Fort Knox, right? So how much gold we had was actually a representation of the value of the dollar. And this was called the gold standard.
Right. And why did they choose gold?
They chose gold because it is a precious metal, very valuable, and it is very rare.
Yeah.
And gold is valuable all over the world. I mean, I bought some gold myself here. So and people love gold wherever the world, wherever the sun shines, people love gold, right?
Yep.
But they strayed away from that, and now
they basically took it directly off, right?
What was President Nixon, he signed some kind of act. I forget exactly what it was.
Yeah, I don't know the name, but he was like, oh, we're just going to leave the gold standard for a few years and we'll come back later.
Yeah.
This is in your best interest, you know. And then you know how he is with his crooked smile and his crooked everything.
Yeah.
So which they didn't. So they told people a bunch of lies to get them to get off of it. And once they did, then they just had the ability to print as much money as they ever wanted.
And that's leading us to where we are now. We're gonna talk a little bit more about it, but before we get heavy into it all, we got a couple more spicy memes. This one's for all the married guys out there. When you're ignoring your wife, or when you go out with one of your girlfriends and she's in bed with you, here you are thinking about, oh my God, should I invest in Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum? And she's over here pissed off. I know he's thinking about other women. And then this one, this is how me and Charlie feel right now. When your friends and when your friends and loved ones still refuse to invest in Bitcoin. And here we have Noah getting on the ark with his family and 2 of every type of animal in order to help procreate and save the world. Listen, guys.
Can't save them all.
I don't give a shit anymore.
I'm just saying.
I'm going to be in a mansion just live streaming like a 3-hour laugh fest of me with a bottle of champagne.
I'll join you. That sounds fun.
A bunch of our crypto hoes just like, strategically pushing them in the pool and just having a good old time. Be like, we told you. We fucking told you. And guys, I mean, this train is leaving the station. I mean, we're already at a stable $10,000 fucking dollar Bitcoin. Okay?
Amazing.
Bitcoin used to be worth pennies.
Yeah, when it hit $1, people were like, "Oh my God, it's the same value as $1? No way, that can't be right."
Yep.
And now look at it.
So we're gonna talk about the Federal Reserve and what's going on. We're going to go into a little bit of a history here. So, Charlie, why don't you just lead the way and tell us a little bit about the Federal Reserve? What is the Federal Reserve? Because the Federal Reserve, it must be a branch of the government, right? Because you have to go to federalreserve.gov to access the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve is a branch of the government. So is it part of the executive, legislative, or the judicial branch? Which one?
It's the, what do you call it? What's the word for like the only one that doesn't have to answer to anybody?
Oh, the fucking Christ arm.
The Christ arm, I guess you should say. Yeah, basically they don't report to nobody.
So are they part of the government?
No.
So the Federal Reserve, which is printed on every piece of currency in the United States of America, is not a government entity. Are they a private organization?
They're supposed to be. And so we'll get into how that works.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so you were asking earlier. Well, one of the things actually I wanted to, wanted you to tell the group is that one story you told me about your friend who you asked about the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
What was his response?
I asked a friend who is he's such a blue pill normie, and I said, and I like to do this, right? I like to ask people questions that I already know the answer to, just to see how fucking stupid they are and to silently judge them, right? It's a pastime of mine. And I said, hey, mate, you're nice. You're such a nice guy. What are your opinions on the Federal Reserve? He's like, well, as all normies with opinions, they love to tell you what they got to think. He's like, oh, well, it's a branch of the government, and I think they're doing an excellent job with quantitative easing and the facts and the charts, and I support the Federal Reserve. I was like, okay.
So he spits out everything else that CNBC, CNN, Fox News all told him.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter which political view. They all tell you the same thing about money.
Yeah, exactly. And the Federal Reserve is not a part of any government organization. Not that being part of the government would make it any fucking better, but... Right,
but at least it would have lines of reporting, right? So this is the way that it was built. And actually, Ben, I think he's from Germany. I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
He actually mentioned a point earlier in the chat about... it's a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but I'll mention that as an aside. I'll go for the normie, clean-cut, white-collar version of what the Federal Reserve is. So, the year that we were asking, when did it start? The year that it started was 1913, December 23rd, if you want to get really specific.
Yep.
And it took a long time for us to get to that point.
Right.
There's actually one president, which was not the best president, in my opinion, but he did make some moves which were interesting in history, which is Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill.
President Jungle Fever.
He had a lot of problems. He had a lot of problems. But anyways, and, you know, I mean, he was a warmonger and all that stuff. But anyways, he was the only president to take us out of debt as a country in United States history.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last time the United States was not in debt to any country or any form of money.
Mm-hmm.
And he canceled the central banking system.
Right.
And so that supported, for a while until the Civil War, it supported pretty sound money that we had going through the United States.
Yeah.
Then after the Civil War, the United States had a lot of problems, had some financial issues in 1907. And then at that time, the government was really, you know, looking for help, basically. And so what they decided to do was, well, if we centralize the banks and the ability to make money into a central bank again, then that will give us kind of a central point of power that we can fix the economy and have more control over the economy. So they said, okay, we need to make the Federal Reserve. Of course, they can't just make it from like the president or from any one person. So they had to talk to all of the Senate and blah, 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 blah. But basically, the Senate passed a law in 1913 that said, okay, we're making the Federal Reserve. It's going to be not a branch of the government, and it's going to be run by the supposedly not private or not commercial banks of the United States.
Right.
And they're going to print the money for us.
Right.
And what ended up happening, and this is where Ben's comment was actually pretty interesting. He mentions Jekyll Island, which if you want to get into it a little bit deep, just Google Jekyll Island, J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller. There's a conspiracy basically that these guys and J.P. Morgan, James Pierpont Morgan, the guy who made J.P. Morgan, he'd been buying up gold, all sorts of precious metals, all sorts of commodities to get U.S. bonds, to get the U.S. in debt to him.
Sounds like Goldman Sachs and them buying up Bitcoin right now.
Oh yeah, I mean they're smart, but they're cunning.
Yeah,
they're not your friends.
No.
And these guys got together and basically said, let's try to influence the government to give the private banks power, but make it look like, it's powered to banks that don't have a stake in the game.
Right.
So what ended up happening was, if we take a look a little bit here at one of these tabs, we can see the structure of the Federal Reserve. And yeah, that one right here. Is it on the screen?
Yep. Right here.
So basically what's supposed to happen is these regions of banks are supposed to, there we go. Each region is split up. So that you have the Federal Reserve, which is the one group, and then it's split up into these groups here. And within each of these regions, for example, the Federal Reserve of Minnesota, where I'm from, takes care of Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, and part of Wisconsin and Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're supposed to govern the banks, both private and non-private, in that region. Mm-hmm. But what ends up happening is actually, this is where the system is very corrupt, is the way that the head of that region gets elected is not by somebody in the Senate or the United States government or by the people. It's by the private banks within that region. So they anoint themselves to be power of the region. So each region basically governs itself, but basically the private banks govern each region. And then they just report into a figurehead who sometimes, is objective, but usually not.
Right. And I mean, let's be honest. How objective do you think these fucking cocksuckers are? Let's just be honest here, okay? All right, I'm not gonna go on a rant.
I think the analogy you had earlier was really good about the police. What did you say?
Okay, so, all right, guys. So if there is ever a case of police brutality or criminal mischief, police officers stealing drugs or stealing money or whatever, right, the people who investigate the situation, it's the same fucking police department. It's just like, okay, cool. That's like saying, okay, I murdered somebody and my jury is gonna be a bunch of guys who also murdered people, and they're gonna be like, yeah, motherfucker probably had it coming,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get away scot-free every time.
And that's the same thing, but with money.
Right, and that's exactly what we have going on here with the Federal Reserve. So what is the actual job of the Federal Reserve?
So it's to basically make, like you said, monetary policy, and then also print money.
Ben says Japanese money is covered by gold, right? No, it is not.
It's actually worse.
Well,
than the United States.
yeah. Let's not go into that. But basically, there is a Japanese central bank that is also.
They do the exact same tricks.
There's a central bank in every single country in the world except for Iran, North Korea, and I believe it's Syria.
Interesting.
And very interesting how we're constantly at war with Iran, North Korea, or Syria.
Well, I remember, I don't know the specifics about this, but I remember reading about the history of Iran. And one of the ways that they were conquered, by the colonial countries was they tried to take away their gold and introduce fiat money in order to basically kind of castrate their financial system.
Right.
And so for a couple hundred years, they had really bad finances because of that. And then I think they tried to go back to a non-central bank or fiat-based, system. But it's kind of too late once you're in that.
Yeah, it's just we can't go too far into it all.
Yeah, the basics is the banks control the Federal Reserve, and it's not controlled by the government.
Right. And, when we talk about what is the United States dollar backed by right now, the reality is it's backed by nothing, but at the same time, it's basically backed by the threat of a knock at your door and getting a dose of freedom in the morning.
Like
if you don't,
it's two things. It's war and taxes.
Yep.
And those things go together because if somebody knocks at your door and says, "Oh, you're not going to pay your taxes," it's kind of a little bit like an act of war. They take you by force and they put you in jail.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. The situation from Jersey Shore, he just did 8 months in federal prison because he didn't pay taxes on $9 million.
Damn.
He was supposed to get 2 years. He went into jail at the beginning of this year, and he got out a couple days ago. So
Wow.
God bless the situation from Jersey Shore.
Yeah. Well, and apparently that's what John McAfee's doing right now, running around the world he's creating these rooms which, they can't get signals from his electronic equipment. He's trying to evade the U.S. government overseas because he's legitimately been evading taxes for a long time. God
bless that man. McAfee 2020.
He's running, baby.
He is definitely running. Let's talk a little bit more about some of these other points that we have here. What do we want to talk about next, Charlie?
So what's the point of talking about the Federal Reserve in relation to Bitcoin, right?
Right.
It's what they're doing right now.
Right, which is extremely alarming.
Yeah.
But this happened yesterday, was it?
It's happening today.
Oh, so it's going to happen today? No, I'm talking about this.
Yeah, it's happening today.
Oh my God. All right, guys. So we're going to talk about this. So what we have right now, the Federal Reserve is printing $53.2 billion in what is so. It's a fluffy word. They call it quantitative easing. And what this is basically the Federal Reserve is consistently printing money for banks and just giving giving banks this money in order to lend to people that the people will have to pay back at an interest rate. But when you think about the whole thing, you're printing money that has no value, and then you're charging you. So I'm a bank. Here's $50 million. You have to go do your business or whatever, but you're gonna have to pay me back $100 million.
Yeah, I'm a debtor. You're a creditor.
Right.
You're the person who makes the market. I'm the person who leeches off of it.
Right.
And
so I'm the winner. You're the sucker.
Exactly. And my job is to go out there and bust my ass to make you more money with interest back.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I'm doing that is because basically I don't have enough to do what I want to do.
And what's crazy is you're paying me back in the fucking monopoly money that initially has no
made.
fucking value that I've made.
Because, like we said in the definition of how it's structured, right, is the banks do control the Federal Reserve. And so, like you said, they print money and they give it to the banks as credit.
Right.
So they're giving themselves money. They're giving themselves the ability to loan people more money than people generally can pay back. And what happened in 2008? Foreclosures on millions of homes, people's lives ruined because there's no way they can pay that back. They have to go into bankruptcy. It's pretty bad.
So take hold here of the article and tell us what's going on.
So the article gets too in depth, and it actually probably, because this is like a repo operation, which is kind of a little bit ahead of quantitative easing. So I won't get into the details of that, but you can go to this article here, Zero Hedge / Markets. The Fed has lost control of rates again. But the best way to look at it is this. So the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, which is one of those groups of banks that control a region, they have this economic research area where you can see what the Fed has been doing in terms of printing money. And so you can see how that printing has gone over the course of basically your lifetime, right? You were born in 85?
Yes.
I was born in 86. So basically this is from 1984 until today. So for the first, let's say 17 years, from 84 to let's say early 2000s, it went from, and this on the side here is billions of dollars. So it went from about, about $200 billion in circulation of monetary base for the US dollar into about 2001 to 2002 of about $600 to $700 billion, which is a triple in the amount, which by comparison to what's happening today looks like nothing, right? But from around 2002 until today, 2002, that was about, let's say, $700 billion. And today, I mean, it sounds funny when you say it looking at this chart. It's 3,200 billion, which would be like 3.2 trillion, basically. But it just gets into astronomical numbers. But how much of a difference is that, right? So let's just say 700 to 32. So that's a 4 to 5 times.
And this was like slightly after the Lehman shock. Looks like about 2009,
Exactly.
right? Or no, in 2008. Wow.
Yeah, it's exactly a result.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's not just did it happen because it happened at the same time.
So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to buy those ration kits and go like guns and fucking
That's what some people are doing.
get Alex Jones super male vitality and fucking get hopped up on TRT and just wait for the collapse, or what's going
Make
on?
a commune with your own farm if you want. I don't know.
Ugh.
I mean, to be honest, that's it's a slow death in terms of the fiat money system, and some people argue that it's a quick death that could happen within the next 10 years. I'm not going to go to that much of an extreme, but they're not in a good place, basically.
And honestly, this is super tinfoil hat, but I will say, I believe to an extent, I don't know what the extent is, but I do believe that these recessions are controlled and they are
They've been controlling interest rates since Nixon, basically.
And I believe that they are engineered, and I believe that right now, if you read some of the WikiLeaks and some of the, God, I hope they don't fucking kill Julian Assange. Like, that guy has done so much for the world information-wise.
There's another guy, I forgot his name, but he has a lot of shit on J.P. Morgan.
Yeah.
About basically J.P. Morgan financed Bernie Madoff to do his Ponzi schemes, and that was a financing of like about $70 billion. Mm-hmm. They've only been fined for about half of that. Mm-hmm. And then they also make multi-billion-dollar quarters in profit per quarter. And so for them, that's just the cost of doing business.
I just don't. I think that right now, I don't think there's going to be another recession, because I think people are too educated and quite frankly too angry at the government. I think people hate the government at an all-time high right now. Yep. When I was younger, I was like, I support the government. I'm a fucking inbred idiot.
That's what we were taught.
Exactly. We were indoctrinated to believe that shit.
Did you have a class in finance at any point until university?
Dude, United States education system is such a fucking joke. When I saw, obviously we were both teachers here in Japan. I actually worked in the public school educational area. And they, I saw somebody write something saying that, being in a economically successful country automatically leads to obesity. And Japan is the third largest and strongest economy in the world with the lowest obesity rate. And that is because when they educate the children in school, They teach them about calories.
Oh, yeah.
They teach them about fats, carbohydrates, proteins, accurate intake. You know, you see all these Japanese kids.
They make their own lunches
They,
sometimes
they,
in the school.
most of the elementary schools. I mean, that's where I was
Yeah.
I was an elementary school teacher and then also a junior high school teacher, and they educate the kids on proper nutrition. And United States, we don't have that. We had fucking pizza and Chick-fil-A and tacos available for
Dude,
lunch.
I remember when my school got its first like vending machine, and there was so much uproar. But then like there's an uproar every time they introduce some bad thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you get pizza and chocolate milk on Fridays. You get your diabetes out of the vending machine between classes.
Yep.
You know, all sorts of shit.
It's just unbelievable. And then going back to what you were saying, not a single class is taught on one of the most important things in the world, entrepreneurship. Okay.
Or finance.
Nobody teaches you that. B, zero. You know, they want to teach you the history of homosexuals, how all 77 jillion fucking genders, all of this shit, right? Which you can just go learn at leisure. But at the end of the day, you don't need to know 76 genders or the history of homosexuals to survive in this life, but you do need to know how to manage your finances. And so many people are so fucking terrible with money.
Most people.
Terrible with money. 18 years old, getting credit cards, maxing them out, getting into debt, and this is a whole other story. We could talk about credit and whatnot, and like,
Well, but it's part of it, right? They're giving people more credit than they deserve, and at higher rates, especially for university and for houses, for all sorts of things.
Right.
Because they know that's a good way to enslave the normies.
and you know, the whole credit system in itself is a giant scam in itself. But I mean, it can
It
be.
pushes down the economic class. You know, there's no longer a really good middle class. It's making people poorer and poorer.
Right. And yeah, just tying back, kind of like we went off a little tangent there, but the educational system is so truly flawed in the United States. And, you know, when I have kids, I mean, I don't know, it's going to be charter school or homeschool, but I mean, those fuckers are going to be red pilled to the bone, man.
Yeah, well, you got to teach them how to live and to live with the truth, whether that's
Yes.
a good truth or a bad truth. You know, eventually they got to know what's going on.
The truth will always fucking be the best thing for you to grasp and internalize, and that's why we're doing today's show, because most people think the Federal Reserve is a fucking branch of the government and in their best interest. Now, the problem with quantitative easing, right? Well, this is what they call it, quantitative easing. And you have these, this shit seriously makes me want to hit these fuckers with a baseball bat. When these economists, right? First of all, if you're a fucking economist, you should be at least a millionaire, okay? Or, I mean, making $250,000 minimum, right?
Yep.
These fucking dorks, these dumb shits, these idiot economists saying that, oh, listen, and they say it in such a condescending way, inflation is good.
Yeah.
Inflation is good for you. Please, can somebody in the fucking chat, can anybody tell me why inflation is good? Why the value of my dollar or yen or whatever is it going down in the fucking ground, much like what happened with Venezuela, to the point that they're literally hunting and eating cats and dogs.
Jesus Christ.
Okay? How the fuck is that good?
I'll tell you why it's good. It's not good for you. It's good for them. It's good for the ruling elite. It's good to keep them in power and not you. So, I mean, that's just the truth, right? It's a brutal truth, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, now you know they're not in your best interest. How can I make moves to be in my own best interest? And I think a lot of the guys that follow us and who have been following us from the beginning, right? Cody was my first YouTube subscriber.
Yep.
He was in the military. A lot of people who actually work for the government, they're the ones who see this shit first because they see it every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Drew Bay is in the chat, and Drew is he's a personal trainer, owns his own business. Guy's in phenomenal shape. He looks like fucking Thor.
Nice.
And he has a really great comment here. He says, our food pyramid and government nutritional recommendations have everything to do with special interests, groups greasing the palms, and nothing to do with actual evidence. Jesus Christ. Do you remember that fucking food pyramid? It's like you have to eat 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates every day.
Yeah.
Can you imagine eating 11 cups of rice every day?
Jesus Christ, I'd be fucking fat as fuck. I'd be like a sumo wrestler.
Dude, even 6 cups of rice a day is going to make, unless you're like plowing the fields and like out there, or like you're a professional MMA fighter, or you're a swimmer and you're like literally swimming like, 500 plus yards every day, 6 to 11 servings of any carbohydrate is going to make you a fat fucker.
Well, look at this. So this is along with the education, right? And with them being paid for the education, they will get you fat as fuck. But also, I remember in first grade, they taught us a song about Kentucky Fried Chicken and Pizza Hut. And they also, in the same year, they also took us to McDonald's on a field trip. They taught us songs,
Yeah.
basically brainwashing you for fast food. They would reward you when you read a book to give you a McDonald's certificate or whatever else. And then they would bring you on a field trip to McDonald's to tell you, hey, in 10 years, buddy, here's where you're going to be working.
Yeah.
It's just like, Jesus.
So I mean that is just an example of more garbage that is being fucking literally fed to our children. Literally fed to our children. I mean, it's truly unbelievable that this amount of garbage is out there. But going back to the Federal Reserve, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about this. So quantitative easing, what's happening is that basically with quantitative easing, they're printing money every single month, some months up to like $18 billion a month, okay? If you're just printing all this money, $18 billion a month, do you know what that is? You could literally give every single person in the United States of America $2 million.
Damn.
There's 330 million people, right?
Yep.
Check my math here. 330 times 2 is 660 million. 18 billion. Yeah, you could literally, more.
Yeah.
More than that. 16 or 18 billion dollars a month in quantitative easing.
Yeah. Well, but they're not in it for the greater good, right?
Yeah. So
Can we turn off the air conditioning a little bit?
you freezing? Sorry. I'm wearing a lot of clothes here.
I know, the lights get top, but you're all good. But no, you're exactly right. And here's the thing, right? So why are we talking about the Federal Reserve, right? First, we want to give you a background on something that a lot of people never pay attention to.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got guys like Ivor, we got guys like Googs, we got guys like Ben in the chat,
Right.
who do know what they're talking about when it comes to this stuff. And also, I forgot the other guy you mentioned who has his own business. We just mentioned.
There's Drew. Drew.
And so we got a lot of guys who are actually paying attention to this stuff as well and have educated themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So that's good. But then also we got this stuff with quantitative easing, which is happening now. And I think Ivor mentioned something in the chat. It's like if you have debt, inflation is good because it makes you able to have less debt. But eventually there becomes a tipping point to where that basically Wall Street and the Federal Reserve are so over leveraged that the last thing that they can do is go into negative interest rates and eventually become bankrupt as a country themselves. And then they have to go to the next tier up to ask for money, which is the IMF.
Right.
For a bailout.
Right, and the IMF is the International Monetary Foundation. What is it?
I think fund.
I
forgot exactly. But basically, they are the authoritarians of the world finance.
And when we talk about the IMF and we talk about the people behind what's going on, I want to just talk. I want to show you this, okay? And for you guys. This is for you guys that are in body language mastery. I know we're talking about cryptocurrency today, but I want to talk about this and
it's definitely very useful.
I want you to take a look at what she has to say. So this is who is she exactly? The IMF managing director Christine Lagarde, and she's talking about cryptocurrencies and how they're basically a bad thing. But I want to talk a little bit about her body language here because for me, and look at the number one comment here. I trust mathematics more than the banks. Buy Bitcoin, short the bankers. Right? Sounds like a dinosaur talking about meteors. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. I just want to take a look. I want you to. again, when I talk to you guys about jointed body language mastery and studying body language, you this is what I'm talking about. You cannot unsee this shit. So the first thing you'll notice here, take a look at her hands. She's clearly, and her, obviously, if you guys are in the course, you know, her smile is 100% a non-genuine smile. She knows she's being interrogated. She knows she's full of shit, basically.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about what she does here. Take a look at this real quick. See, take a look at her hands. She's fidgeting. She's very uncomfortable with this question and this situation at hand. You can see in her face as well, in her eyes. She does not like the questions that's coming, and she knows she's going to have to reach deep into her bag of bullshit to basically lie her way through this interview. She says you have commercial, you have the incumbents, which is commercial banks, and you have the disruptors, which is cryptocurrency.
Oh, it's a disruptor to their power and their authority, not to the people.
Disruptor to their fucking scam that they're
Control.
running. They're legitimately they're running a fucking scam.
Yep.
And she said that now, JP Morgan's going to be launching their cryptocurrency, and obviously the disruptors are having a positive, definitely affecting them, which is very, very true. It's funny how she said she keeps on calling cryptocurrency disruptors.
Yeah, they try to, like the FUD you said, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, just trying to get that subconscious listening person who's listening in here.
You know what? I just realized I don't think there's any audio for this.
Oh, you got to put the desktop audio on, huh?
I don't. Yep, I did not have it. Fuck me.
Well, it's just a minute. We'll go back. one
Okay,
minute.
well, sorry. I bet you the chat's like, no audio, no audio, no audio. Let me just see real quick. Can't hear audio. Okay, Khalil G, thank you. Just got a couple of thank you guys. Okay, one more time. Sorry, boys. Let me play. George Bruno would hit that. He bet you he would. I bet you old Georgie, his little prune pee-pee would get all hard for her.
Leatherface.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, guys. One more time. Here we go. Let's just listen through. Yeah. Are you guys getting? I'm sorry. Are you guys getting audio? I thought the audio not coming through. I see some people saying, "Is there?" I'm seeing some people saying the sound of silent. Not getting any audio. Are you serious? What the hell? Is it no audio here at all?
I can turn it on, but
Oh, that's fucking so weird because.
technical difficulties.
Let's see. No, I mean this should. I mean.
When you press play, does it move on there on the OBS?
1 second, boys.
No, it doesn't.
That's so weird. It should be 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. We have this lady talking about. Let me see.
Is that the name of this one?
Yeah. Okay. All right, boys. One more time. Sorry. Very, very sorry. I don't know what the hell's going on.
And press this and see if it makes it move.
One of the main topics up there was cryptocurrencies and all sorts of companies now getting.
Okay, sorry about that, boys. Here we go. Okay, technical difficulties should be solved. Let me know in the chat, guys.
One of the main topics up there was cryptocurrencies and all sorts of companies now getting to this effort, not least among them Facebook. What kind of threat does this pose to the...
Oh, did you guys catch that real quick? As soon as I wanted to see if anybody caught that, and nobody did. Look real quick, and this is a clever bitch. She catches. Did you catch it?
I can't hear anything.
Did you? Oh, her body language. I mean, did you catch what she did? No.
Oh, at the beginning you mentioned she was kind of going like this.
Well, no, yeah, but watch it right here. So the question is here.
Now getting to this effort, not least among them Facebook. What kind of threat does this pose?
Oh, she's trying to cross her.
What kind of threat? And then she goes, immediately becomes defensive, and then she's like, oh fuck.
She's aware of it.
Yeah, she is. She's a cunning cunt, and then she fucking quickly has to grab her pen and continue to spaz out. And look at the look on her face, just clearly like.
Question?
What kind of threat does cryptocurrencies pose?
She's like, I don't know half about it.
She was just like, I fucking hate those cocks. Oh, well, I gotta give my political correct answer now. Okay,
Yep.
Sorry, boys, one more time. Let's just listen to it straight through.
To the traditional banking system?
Well, I think you have incumbents, the banks, commercial banks, and you have the disruptors. And clearly the disruptors are having an impact on the incumbents. We just heard a very large systemic bank here saying that they're launching their digital coin, currently piloted in a way within the institutional clients, but to be scaled beyond that. We heard from the European Central Bank that they have launched in November something that is called TIPS, that enables all the banks in the Eurozone to actually transfer instantly at virtually no cost money between them. So I think the role of the disruptors and anything that is using distributed ledger technology, whether you call it crypto assets, currencies or whatever, and it's far from the bitcoins that we used to talk about a year ago, that is clearly shaking the system. The voice that we heard, which was, I thought, really interesting, were those of the regulators and central bank governors who said, well, yes, this is good and this is helpful and it is changing the business model of commercial banks. But we have to be mindful of two things, trust and stability of the system. And
we have to be mindful of two things, trust and stability of the system. Two things that you guys are completely devoid of. Guys, this is, so if the Federal Reserve is to go tits up, and thank you guys for being patient, apologize for those technical difficulties. This is who they go to. This is
the leading authority.
This is the leading authority. Okay, this bitch had the audacity to call them bitcoins. Not even Bitcoin. She's like, oh, we were talking about the bitcoins, I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake. Oh, great. We've detected copyrighted video and audio in your stream. Your stream may be temporarily blocked. Awesome.
Yeah, well, we can cut it out.
All right. Well, anyways. Yeah, so that's who they are reporting to as well. So,
And so what does this mean for Bitcoin, right?
right.
Basically, this just means the difference in how Bitcoin is built versus our traditional system is built is that the traditional system is built for inflation to continually devalue your money. Ultimately, if you're to hold cash under your pillow for trying to save money for your children or another generation after you, you will not be successful in that endeavor, and your children will not be, have the wealth that you once did. Whereas if you have a deflationary currency, a currency which continues to go up in value over time and eventually gets to a stable value, and more similar to gold, keeps that value, then eventually you get to a point in time to where you can store your wealth and across generations transmit that. So right now we can transmit Bitcoin across borders without these people trying to control it. First of all, they hate that.
Right.
Second of all, us being able to transmit this across generations,
Yeah.
if you control your Bitcoin to your children or to your whoever you're giving your money to after you die, they don't want that either, because then that means they have other people who can actually control their money not only in their own lifetime but across multiple lifetimes, which eats away at their control bit by bit by bit, not only today but also over centuries.
And overall,
It's crazy.
it is a crazy system. And to be honest with you, I think that it is just so very important to know. Most importantly, we want to talk about this as our closing point here. Bitcoin in itself is deflationary.
Yes.
Bitcoin, there is a limited number of Bitcoins that are going to be released to the marketplace. And in addition to that, the difficulty to receive these Bitcoins is always going up.
Yep, we're at all-time highs right now with how difficult it is to get.
Which is a good thing. And one of the greater points is that next year in May, the supply. I'm going to talk. I got to talk about. I wanted to show you guys how normie people are. But the halvening is occurring with cryptocurrency, specifically only in regards to Bitcoin. But the halvening is occurring, and what that is that right now, every time a successful block is mined and the data is filled with transactions on the blockchain, what happens is the reward is the miners receive 12.5 Bitcoin, and that is how Bitcoin is released into the ecosystem. However, the big thing is once that happens, it's going to be released to 6.25. If you look at the charts and you study the history of Bitcoin, and you know the simplest calculation, the law of supply and demand. If the supply of something goes down, the value of it goes up. Do you know why Rolex is so fucking popular? Because they're very rare, okay?
And the price goes up even if demand remains the same.
Yes.
And if demand increases, it goes up even more.
The supply of Bitcoin is going to be permanently reduced in regards to the influx of new Bitcoin to the market. I happen to see this gentleman here on my Twitter page. And if you follow me on Twitter, you would see this. This guy, he says, and this is just a testimony of how stupid and uneducated people are. This is 9,470 people.
That's a lot of people.
Okay, this is a lot of morons. Okay,
That's Twitter.
And well, I would love to think it's just Twitter, but these morons are everywhere. It says Bitcoin reward halving is, in my opinion, the largest single event for the asset in its lifetime. What will the halving do to the price? Obviously, I'm smart. I voted the price will go up because it's common sense. 55% of the people, more than half, said the price will go down. Bitcoin in itself is deflationary.
Here's the other thing you have to know about the normie mind is that in terms of time, their way to recognize time with patterns is not very good. So normies look at kind of like a horse with blinders, whatever's right in front of them, right? They don't think about 3 months out, 6 months out, 1 year, multiple years out. Most people have a very hard time doing that, which is one of the reasons why they're bad with money. Whereas if you're able to open up and actually take a look at the larger trends and then go from there down into what's happening more recently, that's the only way that you can actually know how these things will change in the future, or at least have a good idea as to where they're going, which is what you just did.
And guys, in closing, we just want to say, don't forget, keep us accountable. We've been very transparent, and we will continue to be transparent as long as we both are alive and doing this show. We've been telling you, we've been saying, we really are like Noah telling you, motherfuckers, there's a flood coming. There's a flood coming. And, few people are taking action, but it's very important that you understand that we are in the midst of a silent financial revolution, because that's the last thing the people in power want. And it's going to happen, whether it be by force or whatnot. But there is going to be a large financial revolution, in my opinion.
It's already happened.
And there's not millions to be made. There are billions. And honestly speaking, if things keep on going the way, it will hit trillions.
In terms of the price of the asset, it doesn't need to, but in terms of the amount that people can leverage this for, in their lifetime, could be very, very high. And the other thing, the key phrase that I would say for this is that Bitcoin is a hedge against central banking. So if you want to have some sort of asset which is not correlated to a corrupt system, and you want some asset which has its own ecosystem where you can control your money, and generally it goes up in price, then you probably want to at least own some Bitcoin. And like we say, each man, if they can own 1 Bitcoin, would be better than 99.9% of the population.
Yep. And another great indicator of why cryptocurrency is a solid bet is because I think, 99% of all people involved in cryptocurrency are men. So, we got some brains behind the project, just a little, just a little.
And then also, people, guys are generally a lot less risk averse.
Yes.
So,
again, guys, that's going to do it for us today. But don't forget, September 27th, September 28th, September 29th, September 30th, and October 1st, next Friday, we have a 5-day open enrollment for body language mastery. Again, if you like these conversations, how would you like having this conversation on a one-on-one basis, 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, for 3 weeks? How about that? That's what we offer. Charlie will be in the webinars with me. I will be in there. Rollo Tomasi will be in there. Richard Cooper, Ryan Stone, the whole 9 yards. Not even to mention, you get the whole body language mastery, head to toe breakdown of female body language. You'll be able to see scumbags like Lagarde here with her, her like most people, like you didn't even catch it. Most people, you did.
I didn't see it,
but you did catch it. Yeah, you did catch it. But most people in the chat didn't catch it, and a lot of people just don't catch it. But I saw it clear as day when it happens. Body language is one of the most underrated tools that you can ever put into your arsenal as a man. Guys, this is the opportunity of a lifetime to get in there. modernlifedating.com/body language. Click on this link right here. Put in your best email address in this little box. Click the subscribe button, and you will be good to go. And if you want to get hands-on training with Charlie on a daily basis, this is a subscription-based service. Okay, the best bet, in my opinion, is anywhere between the silver and gold package. It's $150 a month or $200 a month. Let's be honest, some of you guys spend more on alcohol and drugs every single month. $150, $200. Okay. Why don't you put your money in a place that will get you more money? Then you can buy all the alcohol and drugs that you want, right? Yeah. You can use Monero and score some of the good stuff. That's gonna do it for us today, boys. So thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to tune in tomorrow to my channel, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We were going to continue on with the interview with the Man Show. And then every single day in the month of September, I will be on the air. Be sure to tune in and check Charlie's channel, which is Cultivate Crypto. His show starts at 8 a.m. So you got to be a winner if you want to tune in for Charlie's show, because you got to wake up early and you got to get a good start to the day by putting some great knowledge in your mind.
And that's when the Bitcoin, it's when markets start trading in the United States, right? And
Right.
So Bitcoin does often make decent moves around that time because that's when New York is waking up.
That's going to do it for us today, boys. So we'll catch you tomorrow, and be sure to tune in on Saturday for Rule Zero. Until then, we will see you next time. Peace out.